Here are the video solutions for AQA Functional Skills Level 2 Maths, and this is paper 2, the calculator paper, and this one is from January 2020. So let's take a look at question number 1. So we need the plan view. So the plan view is the view from above. So if we're looking at this from above, then we're seeing this square here, this square here, this square here. So that is 3 in a line. So this is a fairly rubbish drawing, but it will do. And we're also seeing these two squares here. Now these two squares are in a line and they are next to the top two. So therefore the plan view will look like this. So we're looking for a row of 3 next to a row of 2. So that is answer C. For number 2, we want to work out the coordinates. So remember, we go along the corridor and up the stairs. So we do the horizontal, then the vertical. So here we're going along the corridor to 3, but instead of going up the stairs, we're going down the stairs to -2. So the coordinates are 3, -2. So always remember, do the horizontal one and then do the vertical one. Increase 1,620 by 27%. Well, this question is relatively straightforward on a calculator, provided you know how to do percentage multipliers. Now, if you are calculating 27% of an amount, you should use the multiplier 0.27, and that is 27 divided by 100. So what you could do is multiply 1670 by this number here, and then add it on to 1,670. But a quicker way to do a percentage increase is to add 1 to this multiplier. So we get 1.27 and multiply 1,670 by that. So 1,670 multiplied by 1.27, that comes to 2,120.9. So number 4, the graph is converting pounds to kilos. There's pounds, there's kilos, and we want to convert 40 pounds. So let's go up the pounds to 40, go across, and then come down. And we can see that that is 2 short of 20. So that is therefore 18 kilos. So 40 pounds is 18 kilos. Now this question is difficult to coach people, really, it depends on first of all what sort of calculator you've got and what sort of knowledge you have already. One way you could do it is 3/4 is, as a decimal, is 0.75, so that is 1.75, and 2.45 or 4/5 is 0.8, so plus 2.8, and that 1.75 plus 2.8, that comes to 4.55, and the 0.55, well, that is 55 100ths, and 55 that can be divided by 5, which is 11, and 100 can be divided by 5, which is 12, so 4.55 is the same as 4 and 11/20. However, probably what you want to do is turn both of these into improper fractions. So that is 1 times 4 plus 3, which is 7/4, plus 2 times 5, 10 plus 4, which is 14/5. Sorry, that's a plus sign there. And what we can do is 7 times 5 is 35, plus 14 times by 4 is 56, and that is over 4 times 5, which is 20. And 35 plus 56, or that is 91 over 20. How many 20s go into 91? Well, it goes 4 times with 11/20 remaining. So a few options there. Probably I think it would probably be more likely that you've chosen to use the fractions option and maybe just use the calculator just to simplify some of the calculations there. Question number 6. So we need to convert this into a decimal. So remember, to convert a percentage to a decimal, we divide by 100, so that's going to be 0.375. Here we have a percentage of 15%, and that is 15 over 100. Remember that percent means out of 100, and there's our fraction, but this fraction can be simplified. We can divide the top and the bottom by 5. If we divide the top by 5, we get 3, and if we divide the bottom by 3, we get 20, so that is 3/20. Okay, question number 7. A shape is made from a rectangle and a triangle. Work out the area of the shape. Okay, so what we can do is turn it into a rectangle and a triangle. So what we have here is 42 times by 37, and 42 times 37, that is 1554 centimetres squared. Now the triangle, we know it's got a height of 37, but what is the base? Well, if it's 71 from here to here and 42 from here to here, then this distance from here to here is going to be 71 minus 42, which is 29. So the area of a triangle is the base, 29, times the height, which is 37, divided by 2. So 29 times 37 divided by 2, that is 536.5 square centimetres. So the area of the shape is just going to be these two totals added together. So 1554 plus 536.5, and that comes to a total of 2090.5 square centimetres. Okay, let's take a look at section B. So here we've got a column where we've got frequency. So what we need to be thinking is that we probably need the midpoint of these data ranges. So what's halfway between 0 and 30,000? Well, that is 15,000. Halfway between 30 and 60 is 45,000. Between 60 and 90 is 75,000. And halfway between 90 and 120 is 105,000. Now the reason why we're going with these midpoints is we know that we've got 5 posts that got somewhere between 0 and 30,000 views. Now these 5 posts might all have got 0 views, or they might have got 29,000. We don't know. So what we're doing is we're just assuming that it was that they got exactly halfway between 0 and 30,000, which is 15,000. So if there were 5 posts that got 15,000 views, then the total number of views would be 5 times by 15,000, which is 75,000. So that's a total of an estimated total of 75,000 views from these 5 posts. So all we're doing here is multiplying the frequency and the midpoint range. Even if you don't understand the logic of what's going on here, just remember to do midpoint, and this is frequency times by the midpoint. Okay, 9 times 45,000 is 405,000. 12 times 75,000 is 900,000. And 4 times 105,000 is 420,000. So remember, these are the total number of views from 5, 9, 12 and 4 posts. So we know that there are 30 posts in total, so the total number of views is going to be the sum of these 4 values here, and that comes to 1,800,000 views. So in total, Alex has done 30 posts with an estimated total of 1,800,000 views. So the average number of views, or the estimated mean, is 1,800,000 divided by 30. So that is therefore 60,000 views on average. Now for company B, the average is going to be the total, which is 1,223,600 divided by 23, the number of posts that he did promoting company B, and that comes to 53,200. So which company receives the higher average? Well, 60,000 is greater than 53,200, so therefore the answer is company A. Okay, moving on to B. So we know some of the posts about clothing and shoes, company A, company B. So what is the probability that it's about clothing? Well, how many posts were about clothing? Well, it's 21 plus 13, which is 34. How many posts were there in total? Well, 21 plus 13 plus 9 plus 10, so that's 34 plus 19, and that comes to a total of 53. So of the 53, 34 were about clothing, so that is 34 out of 53. So the probability is simply 34 out of 53, or 34/53. Work out the probability that it's from company A and is about shoes. Well, company A and about shoes is 9 out of the total of 53. It's still the same total, so that's nice and easy. That is simply 9 out of 53. And for part D, so the first thing we need to work out is, well, how many posts had at least 65,000 views? Well, if it's £75 for each post that had at least 65,000, then how many 75s go into 36,000? So 36,000 divided by 75 is 480 posts. So that's the number of posts. So in total he wrote 1,460. So what is 480 as a percentage of 1,460? So turn it into a fraction, and it's top divided by bottom multiplied by 100, and that comes to something quite ugly, 32.8767. So you might want to just round that to one decimal place, so 32.9. They've not said how they want the answer presented, so you could maybe say that that is 33%, and I'm sure that would also be fine. Okay, so let's take a look at question 9. So what we've been told here is that the contents has a total mass of 300, which is in a ratio of peas to water 3:2. So peas to water 3:2. So what that means is that peas are 3/5 of the total and water is 2/5 of the total, and we're dealing with fifths because 3 plus 2 is 5. So the total mass of peas in one tin is going to be 3/5 of 300 grams. So how do I work out 3/5 of 300? Well, I take the total, I divide by the number on the bottom, and I multiply by the number on the top, and that comes to a total of 180 grams of peas. And that is per can. So if there are 240 of them, I just need to multiply 240 by 180, and that comes to 43,200 grams. Remember that 1 kilo is 1,000 grams. So if we're going from grams to kilos, we divide by 1,000. 43,200 divided by 1,000, that comes to a total of 43.2 kilos. Okay, for part B, the first thing we need to do here is work out the total volume of this cylinder. Now, the volume of any prism or any three-dimensional prism is the area of its face multiplied by its depth. So here the area of its face is a circle, and the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared, and the depth is 9, so pi r squared times by 9. So the calculation is pi, so 3.142 multiplied by the radius, which is 2.8 times 2.8 because it's squared, times by 9, that comes to 221.69952, and that is cubic centimetres. Now this is the full tin. Now a sixth of it is water, so I need to divide this by 6. So 221.69952 divided by 6 is 36.94992 cubic centimetres. So right, so what do we do now? First of all, I would probably turn the 425 litres into cubic centimetres. So we know that 1 litre is 1,000 cubic centimetres, so 425 litres is 425,000 cubic centimetres. So how many tins does it make each day if it uses 425 litres of water? Well, how many 36.94992s go into 425,000? So what is 425,000 divided by 36.94992? And the answer is 11,502.05467. So this is the number of tins. Seems a bit of a strange answer given that it's a decimal, so I would probably round that down to a whole number, so 11,502. You might have a slightly different answer. Maybe you used a different number for pi, or maybe use the pi button on your calculator, which would change it ever so slightly. But a range of answers is acceptable. But and of course, in my opinion, it is sensible to round it down to a whole number. So 11,502. Okay, let's take a look at question 10. The key thing to remember is that for his incomings, this is for the year, whereas these amounts are per month. So first of all, for the year, he receives, I'll just write down here, he receives 8,700 plus 4,800, and that comes to a total of 13,500. So that's what he's got coming in. So his expenses, or what he spends, is going to be 589 plus 186 plus 65 plus 8750. So all of these are amounts. So we should put a pound sign. So that comes to a total of £927.50, and that is per month. So for 12 months, it's going to be 12 multiplied by 92750, and that comes to a total of 11,130. So he spends less than he receives, so he will save. So therefore, he's going to save 13,500 minus the 11,130. So therefore what he saves is going to be £2,370. Part B, so he puts £2,000 in, and the interest rate is 1.5%. So what we need to do is increase this amount by 1.5%. Now the multiplier for 1.5% is 1.5 divided by 100, which is 0.015. This is the multiplier we would use to calculate 1.5% of an amount. Now we want to increase by 1.5%, so I just add 1 to this multiplier here. So I'm going to be multiplying this by 1.015. How many times? Let's just be careful about how many times we're applying this multiplier. So 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. So it's put in on his 14th birthday. So on its 15th birthday, that is going to be multiplied by one lot of 1.5%, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we need to multiply 2,000 by 1.10157 times, or if you prefer, 2,000 times 1.015 to the power of 7, which is certainly much quicker. And that comes to a total of 2219.689826, and I would probably round that to the nearest penny, and so therefore to 2 decimal places, and since the third decimal place is a 9, I would round that up to 2219.69. Okay, so for this question we've got this really horrible looking formula, but we need to remember B is the length is 6.4, so B is 6.4 and W is the width, and we've been told the width is 5.5. So all we need to do is make sure that we type it into our calculator so that it looks exactly like this. So let me just bring up my calculator here. So 6 multiplied by, first of all I'm going to put in the square root symbol. Now I'm going to open some brackets, and then this is a fraction, so use my fraction button. So B we know is 6.4. Oops, 4. Of course, I'm assuming your calculator looks something similar to this. Now, I need to be careful with closing the brackets, because if I close the brackets here, it's not really in the right position, so delete that, go right, close the bracket, and then square all of that. Then I'm going to add another fraction in brackets, so open the brackets, do another fraction. The W is 5.5, down arrow, 2, close brackets. Oh, I've made that mistake again, didn't hit the right arrow, close the brackets, squared. So as we can see, this looks exactly the same as this, but B has been replaced with 6.4, W has been replaced with 5.5, so we get an answer of 19.0895. Okay, so and that is centimetres. That is the perimeter of the hexagon. So we've got 4 metres, which we know 4 metres is 400 centimetres. So how many 19.0895s go into 400? So 400 divided by 19.0895, that comes to 20.953 pendants. So it would be tempting to round it up to 21, but we don't have enough for 21. We are so close to 21, but we can make 20 full ones and 0.953 of a pendant. Well, that's no good. We need a whole pendant. So therefore here we're going to have to round it down. So that is a total of 20 pendants. Okay, part B, this is quite tricky. So if 2 elevenths are red, then what that means is that 1 minus 2 elevenths, or 11 elevenths minus 2 elevenths, which is 9 elevenths. 9 elevenths are therefore blue or yellow. Now, if blue and yellow is in a ratio of 2 to 1, that means 2/3 are blue and 1/3 are yellow. Thirds, because 2 plus 1 is 3. Now, that's not of the total, well, it is of the total, it's of the total of blue and yellow, not blue, yellow and red. Now, blue and yellow is 9 elevenths of the total, and blue is 2/3 of the total of blue and yellow. So the fraction that are blue is 2/3 of 9 elevenths. And of, we replace with multiplication, so that's 2/3 times 9 over 11, which is 18 over 33, and that can be simplified because both these numbers are divisible by 3. 18 divided by 3 is 6, 33 divided by 3 is 11. So the fraction that are blue is 6 elevenths. Okay, so moving on to question 12, the question about the football match. Probably the easiest thing to do is to work back from 2:30. So the walk to the stadium takes 25 minutes. So if I go back 25 minutes from 2:30, that's going to take me to 2:05. Now, the only bit that puzzles me a little bit about this question is the fact that we're assuming that the train is just immediately available and leaves the moment we get to the train station. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to 34 minutes from 2:05. So 2:05 minus 34 minutes. Probably the easiest way to break this down is just 2:05, break 34 minutes into 5 minutes and 29 minutes. So take away 5, take away 29, because 5 and 29 gives us the 34 there. So 2:05 minus 5 minutes takes us to 2 o'clock, so that is the same as 2 o'clock minus 29 minutes. That's the reason I broke the 34 into a 5 and 29, just because it's easy to take 5 off 2:05, and that will take me to 1:31 p.m. So we're assuming we're getting on this train at exactly 1:31, which is the moment we stop driving, which doesn't seem very realistic. But anyway, what we need to do here is work out how long this drive takes. Now, we know that speed is the distance divided by the time, and whenever you've got a formula where something equals something else over something else, you can just swap these two bits around. So speed is distance over time, time is the distance over speed. So here the time is the distance, which is 108 divided by 48, and that is 2.25 hours. Now be careful, this is not 2 hours 25 minutes. Your calculator doesn't know you're doing a question about time. It's just a decimal calculator. So we know that, hopefully we know that 0.25 is a quarter, so that is 2¼ hours, or 2 hours and 15 minutes. So our final calculation is 1:31 take away 2 hours and 15 minutes. Well, if I take away the 2 hours first of all, that will be 11:31 take away 15 minutes, and 15 minutes before 11:31 is 11:16. So that is the latest time that they can set off. There we go. So 11:16 put AM if you want. I doubt it matters if you don't put in the AM. Okay, so for this question, the first thing we need to do is we need to be careful that it's 108 miles each way. So the total distance is 108 times 2, which is 216 miles. Now, how many litres of fuel are we going to use? Well, we get 12.5 miles per litre. So how many 12.5 miles are in 216 miles? 216 divided by 12.5. So obviously grab your calculator for this. That is 17.28 litres. Now we know the cost of a litre of fuel is 128.8 pence. So what is 17.28 multiplied by 128.8 pence? That comes to 2225.664 pence. So probably makes sense to turn this into pounds, so divide by 100, so that's £22 and 26 pence. I'll just round it up because it doesn't make sense to have more than 2 decimal places when we're dealing with pounds and pence. So £22, 26 pence, and this is being shared between Steph and her 3 friends, so we need to divide this by 4, not 3. 22.26 divided by 4, that comes to a total of £5, and again rounding to the nearest penny is going to be 57. So therefore the total that she spends on this trip is the £5.57 for the petrol, plus the £3 for the return train ticket, plus £30 for the match ticket, plus £8 for the food, and that comes to a total of £46 and 57 pence. Okay, so for question number 12C, we need to work out the probability of a Leicester win. So first of all, how many matches have there been? 12 plus 32 plus 15. That is a total of 59 matches, and of those 59, Leicester have won 12 of them, so they've won 12 out of 59. So all we need to do is turn this fraction into a percentage, so that is the top divided by the bottom multiplied by 100, and that comes to 20.33898. 20 point anything is more than 20%, so that is greater than 20%. So Steph is correct. So Steph is correct, as the probability is 20.33898%. There we go, perfect. And that is the end of this assessment.